In this video, Understanding the Interface Part 2, we will start immediately from where we left off in the previous video by placing and connecting symbols on this drawing view to create our first basic model. First, we'll go into the project directory, and then we'll select the flowchart symbols library. We'll select a box and drag it onto our drawing view, and then we'll return to the main home directory. Now we'll open the Sim.io library and select the typically used I/O flag and drop it on the left side of our box. Then we'll drop another I/O flag on the right side of our box. There are a couple different ways to align or space the objects, but for this video I will manually drag and drop the objects. Since the I/O flags will represent the input and also the output of our small model, we'll make those visually clear by right-clicking on the output flag to quickly access the rotate or flip option, and then we'll choose horizontally, allowing the output flag to present the mirror image as the input flag. Immediately, we can select the box in the middle, allowing us to quickly add ports on the box. By selecting the green port icon from the side toolbar, we add a green input port to the box. And by selecting the red port icon, we instantly add a red output port. To create another box, we right-click on the box and select Copy from the right-click menu, which will make another copy of the box and all ports or data attached to the box. Then we can place it where it can best facilitate the flow of information we wish to describe in the model. Aligning the boxes is easy, with all of the alignment guides keeping the movements totally associated to the other objects vertically and horizontally, allowing for clear representations of objects in the model. When satisfied with the placement of our objects, we can name each object simply by clicking on the object and entering the name. Express will enter the name on the object and in the name abbreviation window at the same time. We can very quickly name the boxes A and B in this same manner, and finally the output flag will be named. To connect the objects, we will first switch to the Net Design mode by clicking on Nets in the Design folder tree. Once in this mode, we will start by connecting the output port on box A. When the cursor has a plus sign and the arrow, it is properly over the port. Click once and then move to the next box, B, and when the cursor has the plus sign, click and the net connection is established. To start a new net, it is important to click on a blank space in the drawing view so we don't unintentionally add additional net connections to the previous net connection. Again, when the cursor has a plus sign and the arrow, it is properly over the port. We will establish the final net connections to finish our small model. While this was meant to merely be a simplified example of how to perform the basic elements in drawing a model, Express has many features to explore in the video libraries where we can observe how to connect and name dozens or even hundreds of nets and ports in just a few simple clicks. As we move back to viewing our ABS brake system model, let's resume our navigation of the Express interface by reviewing the Explorer-like navigation tree on the left side of the window. By clicking on the Components folder, we are quickly presented with the full list of components as shown in our drawing window. To view more details contained in any of these components, we simply select any component in the list. Let's select the ABS LED component, and now we are presented with a Ports folder which we can further expand to view a listing of the ports contained on the ABS LED. By clicking on the ABS warning input port, the design immediately snaps to center the selected component in our drawing view. We will zoom in on this area to better view the ABS LED. Then we can quickly center the port that is of interest by selecting it again on our navigation tree. To close and return to the original design view, we simply click on the Components folder. The next folder down in our navigation tree is the Assemblies folder. Since we are viewing a flat or single level of hierarchy in this current model, the Assemblies folder is grayed out. Once we establish hierarchical levels in our design, this folder becomes an active folder. By swapping our example ABS system out with the hierarchical ABS system model, we can observe how some of the drawing complexities can be absorbed into a simpler system model. When the Assemblies folder is selected, we are presented with a list of all of the next lower level assemblies. By selecting the right front disk cylinder folder, we can open the Ports folder and select a port merely to center the right front disk cylinder assembly. After we zoom in, we can right-click and open to the next lower level of hierarchy from this menu. Now we can see this lower level brake assembly model. This allows for a very simple view of the lower level model and incidentally provides a very seamless facility for sharing the drawing of a model with design teams involved on the same program, internal or external, to the organization. In this regard, models can be neatly integrated into the higher level system model. The navigation tree has a number of additional folders that contain specific groupings of details that are contained in the model, such as I/O flags, annotations, nets, subsets, operating modes, and test sets. We'll just peek inside the test sets. Other videos will delve into these in appropriate detail, but we'll just open the test sets folder merely to observe how Express keeps track of signal propagation. We'll simply open the ABS brake detection test set folder. Click on the left front brake test, and from the detection test at this left front location, we can instantly observe all of the green highlighted objects and magenta highlighted functions involved in the proper functioning of this test. To export this design drawing to a spreadsheet along with all of its defined attributes, simply drag a box around the entire design. Select everything from the right-click menu, and then select the grid view icon from the main toolbar. Initially, when we first click on the grid view icon, only all of the objects will appear. Then we will select the Object Details box from the context-sensitive panel. For this demonstration, we will also check the I/O flag interpretation box. Notice to the left we have a drop-down menu where we can select several different contents types, such as ports, output functions, failure modes, etc. For this example, we will leave Objects selected as the contents type. Finally, we'll click on the upper left corner of the grid, which is a quick way to immediately export any data from Express directly into a typical spreadsheet. A quick glance at the spreadsheet header will convey that the type and amount of data that can be exported can be impressive. As such, any parts of this data can be used in this form with other processes, or it can be re-imported back into Express, as we will learn in the Basic Skills video tutorials. This concludes our video on Understanding the Interface, Part 2.